be exactly what you want to be without all of the fear around you. We have to stand up together.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Chairman Project with Jason Sisneros. And this week we're going to talk about the right way and the wrong way to fail. And how to look at it. I've had a lot of conversations over this last week. I have another show all ready to go for next week, but it's been so prevalent, this conversation about fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of what's coming next. What's going on with the economy, what's going on with the election, what's going on with foreign policy. It's a week of people being a little bit trepidatious, a little bit fearful. So I wanted to do an episode around that because it's such a great subject for us to talk about, for us to get it out on the plate. And I had a really great conversation late last night. For those of you that are watching the podcast, I'm in obviously a different location. I travel all over the place. I've got this cool little setup. It's basically a studio in a box, and I can do it from anywhere. I happen to be in Salt Lake City this weekend for the show, and I had a really great conversation last night around this concept of like where are things going, and we had a good conversation because he runs a construction company. He might be here live. For those of you that are watching the replay, we do this live every Saturday on Twitter at the J Sisneros on x.com, and from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10:30 a.m. Happens to be 7 a.m. my time this morning, so I had to get up a little early. But the concept, the conversation, he runs a construction company, and he was like, what's next? He cares deeply. The original connection with this gentleman was around the idea that he wanted to support the rescues that we do with certain ministries, the slavefreeproject.com. And we got to talking about several similar conversations to what we have here on the Chairman Project podcast. And the conversation was, I want to do more to help trafficking. And I want to get more involved. I want to fight this evil, right? And it's whatever it is for you. It may not be trafficking. I also am very passionate about anti-domestic violence and also feeding people to get rid of to help alleviate some of that issue with food insecurity. And whatever it is, you might have veterans issues. I know Bryce and Julie that are here every Saturday, they care deeply about veterans issues, put their time, energy, effort, and money into it. And I started thinking about this concept of failure, and there's a couple of things. We're going to go through some solid content, but I wanted to get out some of my thoughts from the conversation, is that when you have a very powerful end game in mind, right? We talk about that here all the time. The end game is where you're going to get to with your business. You have a wealth generator called a business, and we talk about the idea that you've got to set it up to exit, right? Built to exit. That's the next book that's coming out. There's going to be some massive brand consolidation. In fact, we're going to change the name of this podcast, and the growth course and all those kind of things are going to go under the Built to Exit brand here very quickly, very soon in the next couple of weeks. But and that's built-to-exit.biz. If you want to follow along, get my show notes, those types of things, you can go to built-to-exit.biz and put in your email address. So anyway, so I started to think, what can we? I wanted to set this up in a way that I know affects and impacts everybody, because there is a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. There's a lot of uncertainty with what's going on with business and the dollar and gold and Bitcoin. And I mean, there's just a ton of uncertainty, which after this episode, I hope you realize is a great benefit to you as you own your own business. The more chaos in the world, the better opportunity that you have. If the country and everything was running like a well-run machine, guess what? The opportunity drops because there's no opportunity to improve things, or at least the opportunity is less. I look at my entire career. I had a great career that started out with fixing broken businesses. So if every business was running like a top, I wouldn't have had a career, right? And then that turned into me buying businesses that were broken or going to go out of business. Think about the built to exit, right? Your exit, you're going to put a lifetime, or hopefully, if you're following the precepts of this show, you're going to have a lifetime of owning this business, maybe starting another, maybe starting 3, maybe starting 5, whatever it is. But you're going to have a lifetime of creating value with your business. You're going to have a lifetime. You're going to do what you're doing until you're ready to stop. And that's your exits. Too many business owners don't think about the exit. And at the end of that, you want to harvest your wealth, right? This is a conversation that needs to be had. Most people that go into a regular job, they plan their life out around retirement. Some people do and some people don't, I guess. But most people that go into a job, they process their life around a retirement. I'm going to work, 30, 40 years, and then I'm going to get a gold watch, and then I'm going to go off into the... I don't know that exists in our day and age too much anymore, but that's what a regular job produces. And then we start, those of us that are crazy enough to start a business, we start a business and we don't think about retirement until maybe 4 or 5 years. And what happens is we get reminded by our age, or maybe somebody gets sick in the family, or we're just not able to run as fast as we were. It's harder for us to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and run our businesses till 9 o'clock at night, right? It's just, and at some point in time, you just don't want to do that anymore. So the reminder of this show is that fear that drives us causes us to put a pin or a pause button in our businesses, because it starts to produce just enough for us to be comfortable, right? And that brings us to the present. A great business owner, the intellectual sport of business that we're playing, the greater, the wiser that you are, the longer term, the longer timeline you put on your business, the longer timeline you're able to put on your success. And that timeline goes from, what you're doing today, which is survival. Most businesses are running 30 days at a time, right? They're just running 30 days at a time. So that's not really a business, that's a job. And you hope that conditions next month are similar to the conditions this month. And you get to that place where fear starts to kick in, going, now if I mess with anything, this level of comfort that I've built for myself is now sort of a prison. Like you start to think through the lens of fear. I don't want to mess with things. I don't want to improve. I don't want to go to that seminar. I don't want to read any more books. I don't want to get any more input. I don't want to, get any more education. I don't want to put a system. I don't want to do those things, because if I tweak the wrong thing, because I didn't build a machine in the first place, I kind of got lucky. I built something that I could keep going. I kind of got lucky, and I don't know which one of the dials that I'm going to touch that is going to mess up my current state. And we start operating in a sense of fear. We start operating in a sense of, oh my gosh, I got to protect what I have. So it takes me back to my conversation that I was having with this young man out of New York that owns a construction company. And he asked me, he said, Jason, he goes, what should I do? And it was a great question, because again, to have the humility to ask for help, we talked about that ad nauseum 2 weeks ago, but I was proud of him. He said, what should I do? He goes, I'm really passionate about rescuing kids. I want to be making an impact for these kids that are being trafficked. What should I do? And my honest answer was, I said, if you really care, and this answer is not pat for everybody, right? It doesn't fit everybody. But I said, I get what you are one of the people that can start a business, run a business, and create profit, right? You're one of those people that has been able to build a business, right? Let's improve that business so that it's creating more revenue for you and more free time so that you can get into the fight in child trafficking. And because that's exactly what I did. And I told him, I said, this is just my opinion. You do what you want to do. But I love people. And this is our group. This is the people that follow here. Like I said, owning your business and then being here on Saturday or watching this podcast at all is an act of rebellion against a system, a world that wants to control power and wealth. Right? The Constitution of the United States, the greatest anti-consolidation document ever written in history. We're just starting to ignore that, right? But consolidating of wealth, consolidating of power, we are the rebellion against that. How so? It's the independent access to capital. When you have a decentralized workforce, a decentralized anti-consolidation of wealth, which is spread out over 33 million small businesses in this country, that does and produces 60% of the GDP and does about 60% of the hiring, that's power. We don't know it because we're not connected. That's the whole point of Built to Exit. That's the whole point of the Chairman Project podcast that we've been putting together, is to bring us together to gather that power. And so I told this young man, I said, look, I would love for you to start working on your business, get some assets built, be able to free yourself, create more revenue, because the more revenue that is in your hands, and when I say your hands, the people that watch this podcast, the more revenue that is in your hands, the more free I am. The more revenue, the more business that we do with each other, the more profits that we make, the more that we scrape away from unethical multinational corporations that are in bed with a obviously corrupt centralized government, right? The more that we do that, that is the act of rebellion that can keep us all free without bloodshed or gunshots and all the other stuff that goes along with a rebellion against a corrupt centralized government. Okay, so that's the conversation we were having, and he was digging it. I was digging it. I was getting all fired up like I do every Saturday. And I said, what you should do is focus in on your business, knowing that your why is every time you make an additional $3,400, and again, this just happens to be the number that comes up for us at CERT Ministries, you're going to be rescuing a child. That's as important as those of us that put on the bulletproof vests and crash through doors and go put ourselves in danger and go out. It is just as important, because that part doesn't happen without capital. That part doesn't happen without money, right? It's impossible, which is why I'm one of the only ones on the team that puts my face out in public, because I fundraise, I'm constantly talking about it, I put my own money into it, right? That was what I did with my career. I built a cash flow for myself that allowed me to leave those businesses, to sell my businesses and exit them back in 2019, right? Now I can do whatever I want to with my time, including being here with you on Saturdays. So that's the key. And so as we got to talk about it, started to sink in deeper. Like he wanted, every guy, every man, every woman, by the way, too, every guy that hears about, or woman that hears about what happens to these kids in child trafficking, they want to literally go bust down doors and get in the fight, right? Everybody wants to do something about saving these kids. That's why I love our community so much. And so as he started to understand what he could do, the power of it, it clicked on what I wanted to talk about this morning. So I rewrote I wrote the entire show after I got off the phone with him to have this conversation about how important it is to be able to get yourself free so that you can then fight for the things that you care about, to make an impact, right? This thing called legacy, it's not about, being important or having your name on a wall or a building or a park or whatever it is. It's just knowing, right? And everybody has that desire, that has that longing in their spirit and in their soul to want to leave a mark on this earth, that you did something good, right? That you helped somebody besides yourself. That's our group of people anyways, this group of misfits, this group of rebels that gets together every Saturday and listens to this podcast at all. Because I don't come here and talk about, it's going to be 7 steps and it's going to work for everybody and you just got to jump on the AI bandwagon. No, we talk about the fact that businesses are complex, right? They're complex. They're not easy. You have relationships. You have outside pressures. You have attorneys. You have taxes. You have a government that supports you, that doesn't support you. You have all of these things that are going on simultaneous to trying to be a mother and a father, a daughter, a son, a good upstanding member of your community, engaging in your civic duty with your voting and whatever you're doing with your public, going to your churches, your synagogues, your whatever it is, right? There's a lot of shit going on for our community. And so the idea is that we have real conversations with real business owners to solve real problems here that are not going to be solved by you joining some group for $49 a month and getting some bullshit, unthought through concepts from somebody who's never had a payroll, for somebody who's never had to keep the lights on in a physical building, right? It doesn't mean, I love people that do business over the internet. I love that, but there's also other businesses that are out there that don't have that, right? It changes that technology, it changes your reach, your geographical reach. So coming back to my conversation, it clicked with him. He said, oh, I have a weapon. I have a weapon in the fight against trafficking that I didn't realize that I have. And it was called my business. Hi, my name is Jason Sisneros, founder and chairman of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has helped hundreds of clients and thousands of growth course students fix, scale, and successfully master their businesses. To put it simply, my team and I help people turn their businesses into machines that create cash. To better support startups and other mid-sized companies, my team and I developed a phenomenal and comprehensive digital growth course where I poured decades of business ownership and know-how into 20 hours of content. This course is not easy. It's not an easy pill, but it demands real work from you to implement the blueprints that I've developed. We know that reaching financial freedom is never easy, but totally worth it. Go to growthcourse.com right now to learn more about the course and get started on your business journey today. And so as we start this conversation, or we're at 25 minutes in, right? As we start this conversation about the fear of failure, realize that the thing that you're working on day to day is so important. It's so important to the world. It's so important to me. It's so important to your kids. It's so important to so many people to be a part of this 33 million group of us that are SMEs, small to mid-sized enterprises, 0 to 499 employees, for us to do business with each other, for us to educate ourselves, for us to get smarter, to get better at what we do. You're so important. And I know that each and every one of you wouldn't be with me if you didn't have something that lights your heart on fire, that if you could just make a little bit more money, if you could just have a little bit more time, if you could just impact that thing that you care about just a little bit more, man, things would be good. And that's what this is all about. So he started to understand that concept and got excited about it. He's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw, I'm going to do the growth course. I'm going to get rolling with improving my business. I've got 16 contracts that I've been pushing off because I've been trying to do this other stuff. I'm going to get involved and I'm going to make a difference. And I was like, man, that's so powerful for us. And we talk about it quite a bit on this podcast. We talk about it quite a bit in this environment. But I wanted it to be a reminder for you to think about, what is the thing, beside your end game is your number that you have to put up on the board for you to be able to exit. But what is that thing that makes your heart beat just a little bit faster when you think about it? That makes you smile when you think, man, I could write a check for that, or I could, save this animal, or invest in this veteran issue, or child trafficking, or whatever it is for you. Because we need more of that. The world right now rewards greed, right? Or seemingly, let me put it that way. The world seemingly rewards greed right now. And everybody's out to get theirs today. That is not a sustainable behavior. It's not a sustainable thought process. It's never been sustainable. All empires fall when everybody's trying to get theirs and they're not doing something ethical for other people, for their community, for their country, for their family, for their churches. It falls away. And we have the opportunity, because I know the character of the people that show up, the people that I hug when I go and speak on stages, the people that come to this podcast, the comments that I get. I know your character. And so this is one of those shows that I want to talk directly to some of the concepts and the ideas that I know you struggle with in the dark of night, right? The dark of night, that when you're going to bed, when you lay your head on the pillow, because I was there. I have been there in my life many, many times. Those things that you can't allow out of your mouth for other people to hear about your uncertainty of your future. Those things that nobody else can hear because you're the business owner. You are the center. You are the center post. You are the pillar of so many people around you that just expect and look at you in the face and go, oh, that person's got their shit together. When sometimes you know damn good and well you don't. And so we lock ourselves into, all I want to, if we do nothing else today, but unlock you just realizing that you are at the tail end of a long family generation of warriors. We live in soft times, but it doesn't mean that there's only one reason that you're here, is because your family somewhere along that genetic line, they were warriors. They fought to keep alive long enough to procreate, to lead to generation after generation after generation after generation that led to you. And for us to find ourselves in a time for us to not remember that. Like, I come from a long line of Spanish warriors and Scottish warriors, and it culminated in this thing called Jason Sisneros. To do what? To show up and be afraid of my own shadow? To show up and look at the immense opportunities around me and the great tool that has been afforded to me, the guy that was born on the wrong side of the street, to be able to afford me the opportunity to put my brain and my heart and my ass and my elbows behind hard work, to be able to play the same game as the rich people that I saw when I was growing up, and to be able to compete, and to be able to throw myself into that battle, and to go, you know what? I know what my battle is for this generation. It's to keep the 33 million of us that have the crazy gene to start a business so that we don't have to depend on somebody else, so that we don't have to beg for our meal, so that we don't have to ask a centralized government, what would you like me to do so that I can get my check this week, right? Or beg from a multinational for a piddly check. We don't have to play that game. But we allow that fear to sink in. And it creates this stupid ass thing that we hear about over and over and over again called a comfort zone. It's not a comfort zone. It's not a comfort zone for warriors. It is a death trap for you to settle into something because you go, I don't want to tweak with the wheels of my business right now because it might do damage to it. When has any great battle ever been won by somebody that wasn't willing to go out and seek new lands, do things different, risk their lives to conquer? That's your heartbeat. That's your DNA. That's embedded in your cellular makeup. And when you try to quiet that with the creature comforts of settling for the shit that you have right now, instead of battling and taking your game to the next level, little bit by little bit. And this shows up in the form of, I'm going to take my business from 100,000 to 200,000. It shows up in the form of you hiring somebody when you don't quite have the revenue to do it. It shows up in the form of you going and putting yourself out in social media. It shows up in you constantly overcoming the fear of failure and accepting that and stepping back and crawling around in it. I can't remember where I got this off. There was an interview. Oh, I know what it was. You guys can look this up. It was an interview that was being done by a guru. And the only one that ever comes to mind is Guru Pitka from the Love Guru. But there was a guru having a conversation with Mike Tyson. And Mike was kind of like in his face in the beginning. And the guru just calmly walked through, and Mike Tyson finally got to a place where he's like, I always get angry. And it's based in fear. Like, he had a real honest moment. And the guru came back and he said to Mike Tyson, he said, look, and he had to talk Mike off the ledge a little bit because Mike was getting upset. And I don't know that any of us wants to be in a room with Mike Tyson upset. And he talked him through this journey of saying nothing outside of us can impact our psychological state unless we allow it to. And he said, there's this, he gave a bunch of examples. This business failed, but it failed like 10 years ago, but I'm still crawling around in it, was the term that stuck in my brain. I'm still crawling around in it. Oh, my mom treated me this way. My dad treated me this way. I had a bad relationship. I had a bad marriage. I had this, I had that. And we're still crawling around in it. And I thought about that visual, like if you're crawling around, I pictured a mud puddle, right? When you're just crawling around in the mud, when all you have to do is stand up and walk outside of it. That situation's not happening anymore. It may have created a fear, which should create a system so that situation doesn't happen again. But it should not be something that you crawl around in, that you find yourself swimming around in, that you find yourself stuck. And your business is just an outgrowth of your inner thought processes. It's just an outgrowth of how you think about money, how you think about relationships, what's going on in the rest of the world, what your capacity is, what you deserve. All of these things are psychological in nature. And if you just figured out that fear, it's there for, again, there's always two sides of this argument. But when we oversaturate ourselves in fear, trying to build safe walls around us, we're building our own prison. We've dug a hole and we've got mud and water and pee, and we're just walking all around. We're just rolling around in that shit because of fear. I love that conversation. If you get a chance to go find the interview that he did, Mike Tyson and the Guru, really, really great conversation. And I think those are the kind of conversations that have changed Mike Tyson's approach, to life. The guy was worth billions of dollars and lost it all. And now he's got one business that's creating $900,000 a month for him, and lots of other things that are creating cash, so that he can go do the things that he wants to do. He wants to train and he wants to fight this young kid here coming up. He wants to do that. That's his freedom. The things that he cares about, the things that he donates to. Because he faced down, he realized that his fear showed up as anger. How does your fear show up? Has it caused you to do less, to learn less? And let's go through some of the things that I wrote down actually for the show. Failure is such a good tool. I want to start there. Failure is such a great tool when it leads to an open mind. Because an open mind leads to innovation, and an innovation leads to you changing your behaviors and your activities that creates a different result. That then you can measure, modify, and continue moving forward. Right? A lot of fear in business. And again, I've been with so many business owners. I've been with so many companies. There is so much fear embedded in the idea that they built a machine that they have no idea how it actually works. Because it wasn't intentional. It wasn't systematic. I talked to you a little bit about the fact that we're going to be consolidating brands under the Built to Exit. And one of the reasons is because growthcourse.com, which a lot of you that are here are either participating or graduates of, is actually a system that you build to exit your company in one of three ways. I actually came up with a fourth one. Let me tell you what it is. Those of you that have watched the show and heard me before, I've said there's three ways to exit. One is for you to go from obligated to optional. The second one is for you to get all its total time control, where you can go start another business, but that revenue stream is solid. It doesn't need you there anymore. You can go start a charity, or you can go sail the seven seas. And then the third one is to harvest your wealth by selling your asset. Notice I didn't say a business because there's too many misconceptions. By selling your asset, you harvest your wealth. You planted. You built assets. You systematically built a machine that creates cash that will go on into the future, that somebody else will pay you future earnings for what you did in the past. That's what a sale of a company is. And if you haven't planted those seeds and you hand over something that you don't know why it actually works, other than the fact that you're a great salesperson, you got a great team, and you have a product that somebody needs at the time, those are the basics. There's a fourth exit. The fourth exit is to create enough distance between you and the wolves. And I haven't solidified what this fourth one is, but there is a day when you go, oh, I'm not worried about what happens next month because I know, based on the fact that I've got a 13-week rolling cash flow in place, I've got systematic marketing and leads coming in, I have a systemized sales process, I then have a systemized operations team, I have some finances coming in that I know where I'm at, and I've got my culture dialed in. And it's like there's an exit that is an exit of stress, of not knowing what's going to happen next month. And that's your first actual exit before you get to the other three. And so the consolidation of these brands, I've got to looking at it and having conversations with people that are way smarter at this stuff than I am. One of them came to me and said, Jason, it's not a course. Nobody wants to take a damn course. It's a system. Those of you that have taken it, you know it's a system. It's a systematic way for you to be able to exit your business. So those are the modifications. Those are the changes. Oh, what would I do if I was worried about and had the fear of failure? If I didn't have an open mind to innovating around the content that I put out, the work that I do for businesses, the increased cash, the exits that I'm helping people get, the extra cash that's coming in for trafficking, domestic violence and feeding people. What if I didn't have an open mind? And I said, no, it's been called the Growth Course forever. Oh, the Chairman Project is a great name for the podcast. What if I was fearful? I don't know what's going to happen when we consolidate these brands under the Built to Exit brand. I don't know. But I know that it makes more sense to people to buy a system instead of a course. To invest in a system that has proven itself over and over and over again. All you got to do is go to my LinkedIn. You don't have to listen to a word I say. My results are in the real world. First is a turnaround specialist. Second is owning my own businesses. Third is selling and exiting myself. And fourth is with our consulting company that we've helped hundreds of businesses do it. There's no hyperbole in that. There is simply, I figured out how to build a system with my team on how to predictably exit the business. And that's what the Built to Exit system does. And then I was like, okay, cool. We're going to have this other division, right? If I didn't have an open mind, if I wasn't open to learning and risking, if I wasn't looking at data, I would say, okay, Jason, you say you're in the fight for small businesses. You say you're in the fight to help people maintain independent access to capital and cash, blah, blah, blah. There's 33 million of them. How in the world are you going to help everybody? And I had to step back and answer that question. And the way that I'm going to do it is, and the way that we are doing it, is we're going to train business coaches who want to have business as an extra asset, in their coaching tool belt. The consultants that are out there that are very one-minded, right? They're great at one aspect, but they don't have the whole picture in mind. We're going to train the army of people that are out there helping businesses get better. I don't need the credit. It doesn't matter to me. What I need is for those businesses. When you look at the results of Anton J, which is my consulting company, it's flip of the rest of the world. The rest of the world, 95% of companies fail. In our business model, 95% of them succeed wildly. So I want more businesses doing that. I've got to train people. What if I was sitting back in fear going, oh, well, I should be happy with where I'm at. Like I'm financially free already. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting my name out? Why am I risking doing this kind of thing? Blah, 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 blah. What? I don't live in fear. What would you be capable of if you didn't care what people thought about you? What would you be capable of if you got out of whatever you've been rolling around in as far as a fear that doesn't actually exist anywhere except for in your mind? It may have happened. I don't want to minimize what may have happened to you in the past. I don't want to minimize the way that people screwed you. I want you to take total, complete control of your own life by redefining those things that happened to you in the past as blessings. That maybe God was strengthening you in an area so that you could wildly succeed and have a pillar and a strength that nobody else has because you went through that pain. That you woke up and challenged yourself and you redefine everything that you're afraid of into a blessing. And you start to seek out failure, organize failure, which is exactly what the Built to Exit system is. It's organized, small, little failures so that you can constantly improve. The benefits of a structured failure are having an open mind for innovation. The benefits of structured failure are learning and risking. The benefits of structured failure are that you get data, you read the data, you know your competition, you compete and put your competition out of business so that they end up working for you. The benefits of structured failure are financial guidance and cross-pollination. You're open to it. Customer and employee feedback. If you're stuck, let's just talk about that really quick before I move on here. If you're stuck in your habits, you're stuck in that prison, you're wallowing around in a fear of failure, you're wallowing around in the fact that you don't want to have a structured system, you don't know how to put together the pieces of the Lego box. If you're stuck in that, you're not going to listen to your customers tell you day after day after day how you can get better at falling in love with their outcome and creating a product and or service that outshines everybody else. Don't be the best, be the only. Don't be the best, be the only. And if you're stuck in that failure, that fear, your employees are giving you feedback every single day. Whether it's verbal or subconscious or by their behaviors, they're giving you feedback as to places that you're failing that you can fix, that will make your business stronger, that will make their lives better. But if you're stuck in, this is the way we've always done it, I don't need to hear from any book, I don't need to educate myself, I don't need to go talk to somebody in my local community that knows better than I do because they have the results of being in business for 20 years. I don't need any of that. I'm protecting the thing that I have. You're like the man in the parable of talents that buried his talent. Are you a business owner that's looking to build your company into a machine that creates cash? I'm Jason Sisneros, chairman and founder of Anton J Global, a world-class business consulting company that has turned around, merged, or prepped for sale hundreds of companies just like yours. I'm best known as the architect when it comes to fixing and building companies across the globe. My experience comes from owning and exiting over 20 of my own companies successfully. It's that real-world experience that I've converted into the ultimate blueprint that has saved and grown my clients' businesses. If you're tired of getting bad advice, have bought all the books, all the coaching programs, and still aren't seeing the success that you were promised, it might be time to work with a team that has actual experience and a track record of success. Please scan the QR code or visit antonj.com to schedule your free 15-minute consultation to see if we can help you reach your outcomes. That's antonj.com, ANTONJAE.com. So understanding that there is massive benefits to failure. Massive. Not to have a fear of it, but to develop a passion to seek it out is the difference between winning and losing. If failure smacks you in the face, next time you learn how to duck. You don't live the next 6 months in fear of somebody punching you in the face. You go, okay, I got punched in the face. Next time when I see somebody swinging at me, I'm going to duck. Not letting the fear of getting punched in the face consume your creative, innovative thinking time for the next 6 months until somebody takes a swing at you. If they ever do, you may never ever experience the thing that you went through that caused you so much pain. It's got my prayer to God is that you never do. Whatever it is that hurt you, I'm sorry. It should have never happened unless it was meant for you to build up such a strength that you can serve other people at a level nobody else can. That is your power to redefine that. That is your power to exit that fear. That is your responsibility at the ass end of a long, long, long generations of warriors. You didn't get here by not having the blood pulsing through your heart right now, through your veins. You didn't get here breathing this breath right now by having a genealogy of people who quit. Don't let that genealogy start with you. Don't let that quit genealogy genealogy start with you. Continue that warrior battle. Know that you're in an act of rebellion with your business. Take it seriously. And how I know you take it seriously is that you're constantly improving, that you're here every Saturday. It feels like I'm yelling at you. I'm going to tone it down a little bit because I'm not yelling. I see what can happen, y'all. I see it happen every day with the companies that we work with. I just see it happen over and over where people get more and more free. They get more and more time so that they can do more and more good. Our lives are passing us by every breath we take. It's going to go by whether you want it to or not. Why not do bold things? Why not accept the fact that you are, by being a business owner, a part of a rebellion that must continue beyond you? The corporate landscape is filled with people that failed because they let it scare them into inactivity. Blockbuster, Kodak, Borders. You can go through the history of business and find companies that got to a point that said, we've never done it that way. We've never gone Kodak. They created the digital camera that they rejected because they were fearful of it overtaking their other business model. And that thing went outside of their business and put them out of business. The thing that they feared, the thing that they owned the creation of, put them out of business because they weren't open. They had the wrong kind of fear, the kind of fear that shuts down innovation, the kind of fear that shuts down listening to the employee that created the technology that you owned and go, nope, put that project aside. Borders, you can set it and stand it right next to Barnes & Noble. They failed where Barnes & Noble looked out and said, people love coming to a bookstore. They love the smell of coffee, right? They like being able to get their books online. They just had different conversations. They weren't fearful. They said, you know what? Forward or death. Forward or death. You know, Apple and Samsung and Dyson, these are companies that are radically successful because they overcame their fear or had a systemized functionality, a system inside their business that eliminated fear and created innovation. Now, eventually they may get to a place where they're in protection mode and they also will go out of business. Thomas Edison, you guys have heard this story over and over and over again. How many times did he fail until he created the light bulb? Henry Ford, right? He's a name that you know because of his success, but you look back and you read history about Henry Ford, about how many times he failed and he didn't quit. You want another example out of history is Vincent van Gogh. They hated his stuff when it came out. They hated it. But he kept going, and now he's one of the most, you recognize his name that I just said it, and I don't know how long that dude's been dead. So this show was a little different because of what I'm watching happen. We are in a battle. If your battle is how are you going to pay your rent next month, you're in the right place. If your battle is how can I free myself and my family, you're in the right place. If your battle is figuring out how to get more money, more support, or start your own charity, you're in the right place. If your battle is I want to see more of this globe before I pass away, I want to write important things, but I can't because I'm busy and stuck, because I haven't built a systematic business. I have a month-to-month job. You're in the right place. You're surrounded by people on this stage. Those of you that are watching the replay don't know what I mean by that, but we have everybody here in Twitter that we have conversations after this show that are important and impactful. We have a movement that has begun. And it's not a Jason Sisneros movement. It's not a Jason Sisneros telling you that you're stupid and you're lazy and all of this stuff that we get told out there by the gurus of the world. This is a gathering place for people that realize their genealogy was filled with warriors. And they're going to continue that. Even if their tool, their weapon is called a business. It's important that you succeed. And if I can be of any assistance in that, then I'm blessed. I'm happy to do it. So, couple of takeaways. Commit to viewing failure as a stepping stone rather than a setback. Greatness was never achieved by somebody who was met with resistance and quit. And the other thing, start planning your exit strategy for your business right now. Make it optional. First thing, get rid of all the financial stress that you have by building systems, processes, and getting yourself away from the stress of, I got to produce again next month. I got to produce again next month. Then get to optional, whether you're there or not, the company exists. Then total time control. And then wealth harvesting, which is selling your business. That does not happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 7 simple steps. It doesn't happen by magic. You don't go buy a business, or buy somebody's program and go from $100,000 to $100 million in the next 12 months. All of that is horseshit. You control the speed of your success. The pedal is dependent on you being clearly targeted on the bullseye of your exit. So those are the couple of things I want you to do this week. Step outside of it, figure out what you're crawling around in that doesn't exist anymore and should be flushed out of your life. Set some new goals that scare the shit out of you. Set some new objectives. Learn how your machine called a business actually produces what it does right now. Then you know which dials to pull. You know which dials to add, which ones to take away, which ones to tweak by 2 millimeters. But just know, I view you as the rebels that you are. I know you've got that rebellious spirit. You wouldn't be with me. You wouldn't be around me. You wouldn't be listening to me. You wouldn't be sharing the show as much as you guys are after we're done here. This is a movement, and we're all coalescing around each other. If we had all banded together, the 33 million during what happened in COVID, when we all got told that we were non-essential, 60% of the GDP, 60% of the hiring got told we were non-essential. It's because we didn't have a voice. It's because we had nobody singular standing up, an organization or a person standing up and saying, you don't get to call us non-essential. We'll figure this out. There's something going on. We'll figure it out, but we're going to do it together. You don't get to just shut us down. That's my fight. That's your fight. Because if we lose that, we're all indentured servants for the rest of our lives, and we're blessing our children with being indentured servants. Teach them to be free by being free. I'm Jason Sisneros. This was another episode of the Chairman Project, and I love talking to you all. I love the fact that this content is getting out, not just into your hands, but the hands of the people that you care about. I love the fact that people are coming in and wanting to do the growth course. I love the fact that people are taking control of their own lives. I love that y'all are not living by fear, that you're challenging yourselves, the person in the mirror, each and every day to get better and to not wallow around in that shit that you know doesn't serve you. So thanks again. Share this as much as you possibly can. Go to builttoexit.biz if you haven't already. Put your email address in. You get my show notes. You get how I thought out this show. You get my research. You get a copy of the finalized, edited podcast that we do, so you can share it with other people or go through it for yourself again. And if you get lost in that and want to know where I'm going to be speaking, whatnot, go to jasonsisneros.com. So thank you all very much. We're going to end the actual podcast. This is where it stops. And I'm going to go into the live discussion with people that are on Twitter and get there live. If you're watching this, I know we got a lot of people now that are watching this on replay. Pick a Saturday, any Saturday, come in here, meet the other people that are here week after week after week. They're amazing human beings. Amazing human beings. You can do business with them. They can do business with you. We can do what the movement is standing up to do. And that's to keep us all free with this wonderful tool called business. God bless you all. Until next episode, I'm Jason Sisneros. See you next time.